Whew. Okay. I am finally live. This is a version of Dawnstar. I am missing a whole bunch of stuff to this cosplay, so let's call this a spiritual version of Dawnstar. So, happy solstice, my friends. Welcome to the Cosmic Comic Book Club, where we read comic books while in cosplay. So, I'm going to explain who I'm playing as tonight, which is Dawnstar, I'm supposed to have big angel wings behind me, but I don't have that at the moment. However, I'll show you who I'm supposed to be playing. Hi Bella. Oh my goodness. A reminder. Oh, you guys are sweet. So I have a few stories. Happy solstice, by the way, you guys. Happy summer solstice. Late night. Yeah, right, Red Heron. I felt the need to do this tonight. There's a divination afoot in the air, you guys. So this dress, let me show you. Oh, thanks for Mario. Let me see if I can sit without doing the whole, oh my gosh. I'm going to do the whole Sharon Stone thing if I do that. We can't do that. TikTok's already mad at me most of the time. Okay, so who am I playing? I am playing as Miss Dawnstar from the Legion of Superheroes. If you guys are not familiar, Dawnstar and Supergirl are actually besties. They're good friends with each other, especially in the world of Crisis on Infinite Earths, and from the perspective of the Legion of Superheroes. So if you guys have been catching my Supergirl reads, we've been going through this, right? Superboy's Legion. I don't think Dawnstar's not in this because Dawnstar usually has a pair of, was she in the animated TV show? Yes, Conjura. Give anything to be that microphone. Careful there. Careful there. The Legion of Doom. I'm actually not as familiar with the Legion of Doom, my friends. I said Doom. Doom. Dune. Dune. It's a late night. I hope my tattoos don't get... Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. Okay, so Dawnstar is Supergirl's bestie from the Legion of Superheroes. If you've watched Crisis on Infinite Earths, the animated version, let me see if I can put this mic in a not so... Regardless, she gives me asthma. Oh, yes. I have a lot of good girlfriends of mine who do asthma, and I guess I kind of do as well. I just think of it as like storytelling and that kind of thing. So, okay, let's get into it, you guys. Athena vibe. I love Athena. Thank you for that. It's so funny you mentioned that, Spermario, because tomorrow I'm actually planning on doing a little skit with my doggy Wolfie. I don't know if you guys have seen Epic the Musical, which is basically the Odyssey but done in like musical theater, and I'm a musical theater kid, so I freaking love musical theater. And I'm not going to do this right, but how does it go? Have you forgotten the lessons I showed you? Something, and na 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 na. Have you forgotten the way I created you? I don't, and you, anyways, it's the point of, hey Chris, Big Barda. I love Big Barda, Bella. I'm so actually, I have a Bombshells comic book that Big Barda in that. She's like on roller skates and she's literally so hot. She's like hot diner girl from like that time. The Bombshells are of course like, the pinup girls of the DC universe, but that is not tonight's read. Tonight's read, we're going to talk all about Dawnstar, Donnie, you know? Okay, let me get nice up and close and personal. I'm going to try to bring this chair up a little closer because I thought I was going to do the cute little cross-legged thing, but I am, this dress. So first of all, let me explain the dress for a second. If I can back up. I'm painting tomorrow the constellations on this wall, so that's why see if I can. Ta-da! So it's like a little kind of dress thing. So this dress is actually my sister's dress. We're sisters, so we borrow each other's clothes a lot. If you're a sister, maybe you understand. Um, Hey yo, the booty shake. Um, so this dress my sister actually bought in Toronto back in the day when we used to have cool little eclectic clothing shops, and she never wore it because it's kind of scandalous. Like you can easily like things can pop out very easily. It's kind of meant, I think, more for like photo shoots. But I decided I would use this dress to play as, look how hot she is, Dawnstar. Now, Dawnstar, if you're not familiar, I'm going to explain her whole backstory because I have loved Dawnstar ever since I was a little girl, which kind of makes sense because I love Supergirl a lot, and Supergirl and Dawnstar and the Legion of Superheroes are actually all great friends. So let me bring the chair a little closer and let's talk a little bit about my origin story, and then we're going to read some Final Crisis. Jeff Johns, this is actually 5 of 5, right? So it's the conclusion to Legion of Three Worlds. So it may get confusing, but I just finished watching The Boys. Did you like it? I feel like some people, it's the end of the season, right? Or it's like the end of the series rather, right? And I do feel like most shows struggle with like, finishing. It's tough though, right? Like Game of Thrones, I was so disappointed. Actually, speaking of Game of Thrones, let me show you guys. I hope this doesn't get me in trouble with TikTok, but I'm going to show you the meat I got. Look at this. So I live in a place out here in the prairies outside of the city. There's like a farmer's market. And so we went to the farmer's market on Saturday, and they had this like mom and pop. They were cute. They like had the mead there. My dad calls this honey beer. But it's funny. I was like, oh, Vikings blood. And I'm such a sucker for marketing, right? So I just like, oh, but it wrapped up quick, but it was all right. Did you like it? Well, I'm not fully moved from the GTA. I'm going to be splitting my time between Toronto and Winnipeg, but that's not to say that I'll be staying in Canada necessarily. So, my gosh, look at this. I'm trying. That's another thing about this dress. I have to roll it up, or it's too long, or okay, whatever. Anyways, I love the car design. Yeah, mead, right? It's cute, right? It's really, and this has like cherry and stuff in it as well. But mead, if you're not familiar, it's fermented honey. Vikings and warriors drink it. I love Vikings. So there's that. So it's funny. I was, me and my hubby were at the little booth thing, and I was buying the mead. And I was mentioning, I'm like, oh, this would be perfect to drink during my D&D games, right? And then, oh, if we did this live action, like in a tavern and all this stuff. And then the guy from the husband comes up from the back. He's like, did you mention D&D? And I'm like, yes. Why? And he was like, oh, I have a story. I have a story for you. I'm like, okay. So I'm in Winnipeg right now. Currently, we're going to be heading back to Toronto next month. So stay tuned for that. But then we'll be back in Winnipeg in August. So I've been trying to split my time there because I'm doing the production. A lot of stuff is cheaper in Winnipeg to film. Let's just put it that way. And there's a lot of talent here in Winnipeg, which I think, people in Toronto can be so pretentious, so full of themselves, and so like I'm generalizing, right? But I want to have it be more like collaborative. So bringing it back to D&D, he comes up and he's like, oh yeah, are you talking about D&D? He's like, listen, I have a story. So I have a son-in-law and he plays D&D. And I'm like, do you play D&D? And he's like, no. I'm like, okay, what's the story? He's like, okay, so I have a son-in-law who plays D&D. And so it's his daughter that brought him home. And he's like, remember, we're Winnipeg people, right? So everyone plays hockey, you go out hunting, you do like all the man stuff, right? So he his daughter, I guess, brings home his son-in-law to meet like the fam, and they're like, hey, do you hunt? Do you fish? Do you like play hockey? Do you do all like the man stuff? And he's like, no, I play D&D. And then like they're like, who's this guy? But he's very quickly, I guess, been part of the family. But the reason why he brought up D&D is because he's like, I have a son-in-law who plays D&D, and he was saying that'd be really fun to do like a D&D party and have mead and like, you know, like dress up as like our characters and things like that. I'm like, that's exactly what I was thinking. You have like a tavern and you have like, come here, wench, but like, you know, respectfully wench, respectful wenches, right? And like your elves and your like dwarves and your knights and your paladins and everyone just like hanging out. And then maybe we can go on some like adventures or you'd have like some tabletop games and that kind of thing. But the reason why I bring this up is that I was trying to explain to him what it actually was. And I was like, do you get, I'm like, what character does he play? And he's like, his name's like Jared or something. And I'm like, no, like, do you know what character does he play? Does he play like a magic user? Does he play like a fighter, a barbarian? He's like, well, I don't know. And then I started to tell him my character. And like, I could see the glassing over the eyes. And I'm like, okay, I'm losing you here now. So took my mead and I laughed, but I got their card and stuff. So hopefully in the future we're gonna have some like when I have like more of my parties and stuff, we can have some mead, right? He's a mage. The meme, the table the table stares him down. What am I filming and what is my production called? So I'm creating a production house called Golden Sugar Productions. So I'm calling it like a I've been struggling with this because I tend to be I don't know what the word is. I'm like a Renaissance, right? So like I write, I dance, I act, I like produce stuff. You know, I'm like a one-woman show when it comes to a lot of things, even behind the scenes. I'm cool with building sets and stuff and being behind the scenes and stuff. Like I used to tell people, I'm like, I like being the character who like dies first in the show so I can like run behind the stage or like run in the front and then watch the rest of it. And then also like minimal lines you have to memorize, right? To be the star of the show is like wonderful, of course. You get the spotlight, but it is also a lot of work. And I think that's where people, you know, the nepotism and things in Hollywood have kind of shown up where like just because you have the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, everyone loves that, but there is work. Like there's work involved. And I don't think people like realize that. Like it's like when I was working in corporate, when you get like promotions and become a manager, like, oh yeah, that's great and all, more bigger paycheck, but like more money, more problems, baby. And then you end up with like, I didn't really like being a boss. It was an uncomfortable fit for me, I think. So my production company, I have 3 things that I'm doing. One is a book. Let me show you the book. It's my book, Battle for Mount Olympus. It's supposed to be for what are the age group? Because I wrote it when I was 14 and then finally published it when I was older. And then so I'm building my world upon it, right? So D&D is a part of my book. And so I initially joined my Thursday night D&D campaign with my dungeon master as like, even though I play a lot of video games and I play Baldur's Gate and all that kind of stuff, playing tabletop D&D with like the actual dice and the mechanics is a different experience, right? So I did it more for like research. So because like to really learn about a game, it's one thing to like read the rules, read the guidebook, and then it's a totally different thing when you're actually playing in the game. And then depending on like what character you're playing as, you're going to get a different vibe from it. So I'm going off on a tangent. I did want to spend tonight doing some stuff about Dawnstar. So let's pull up a chair so we can actually get started with tonight. I hope you guys are doing beautifully well, though, as well, wherever you are in the multiverse. And then I'm going to introduce you guys to Dawnstar. So you guys know Dawnstar from some of the animated shows. She typically looks Native American. In Crisis on Infinite Earths, she's blonde, I think, but she's technically an alien, right? The way that her origin story goes, let me see if I can, okay, that's not gonna work. There we go, there, just so there's not, you know, too much of the goodies in sight. I know, right? Okay. Let's see. Now that we're nice and intimate, let me bring my microphone back. Okay. So, who am I playing? I'm playing Dawnstar. I really wish I had my wings behind me, but I do not. Not tonight. Oh my gosh, I don't like how this is sitting per se. Okay. So, um, if I need some actors, like, oh yeah, I do need actors. But just like in D&D, on a level you would be creating your character that you would act, right? Because my movie is about real life. What? Reality is just a video game. Yes, it is. A really epic one. And it doesn't mean there aren't any stakes. Okay. So, hi, Maury Landry. How's it going? Jai, do you have, I know this is a tangent and like a personal question, but from an acting perspective, do you have any types of roles that you like to play? Like, do you like to be more like physical? Like, my good friend growing up, she used to think that I would make a really great stunt actress. And I kind of agree with her. I like physical stuff. I like stunt fighting and like being like how you act is like embodying the character. However, you have like actors and like of course if you're acting in theater versus like all that kind of stuff. I'm quantum multidimensional thought. I love it. Hi. Okay. So, Dawnstar. Oh my gosh, where's my comic book? Hold on to your horses. Okay, so this is what we're reading tonight. Legion of Three Worlds, Final Crisis, the crisis to end all crises. Right? Because it's not just one crisis, typically is many. But to give you guys some background on Dawnstar herself, she's not as well known of a character, but I knew about Dawnstar way back in the day when I was like being nerdy and reading about comic books, right? Because I loved the Legion of superheroes. I loved the future. I loved sci-fi. I loved this whole idea of like what the future could look like, right? So Dawnstar, me, who I'm playing as tonight, she is actually a character inspired by Star Trek. So on Star Trek, there is a character, she's Native American. Oh my gosh, I like did a whole rabbit hole on her, the actress who played her. But of course, Captain Kirk had to bang her, I think. And then like I think they were about to have a baby or something. He's always banging the hot alien girls. So even though Dawnstar appears Native American, she is an alien. However, her origins still do come from Earth. The way it goes is that a long time ago, way back in the ancient past, you know how like if you guys have seen Predator and Prey, you know, the ancient war, like we think of like ancients as being like uncivilized and like but really they're probably intergalactic. So way back in the day on Earth, I forget what tribe it was here, went out into the stars and they basically colonized a planet. I forget in what galaxy. So they're from Earth, but they left Earth a long time ago and basically colonized and like became like I forget what the planet's called, but they're aliens of that planet. And I don't know if they all have wings, but Dawnstar herself, I don't have my wings on me right now, but she has a pair of wings and she's able to fly cosmically. So she's able to fly interplanetary and she's known to be a great navigator. Now, if we think about space travel, when I think about let's find your wings. My wings are back in Toronto. I have a pair of wings, baby. However, I could use a more epic and luscious pair of wings, couldn't we all, right? I'm in Winnipeg right now, right? My hometown, which, has a lot of Aboriginal roots here, some native stuff. There's a lot of stuff in the land here as well. I was born here, and today was solstice, right? It's also Father's Day. I mean, it's the next day now, right? What's time anyways? But today we actually visited my grandfather's gravesite, which is out here. So not to dampen the mood or anything, but it was a really nice experience because I went with my granny. As you guys know, she's 100 years old, and we put out some flowers. And what she say to me, she's like, "Oh, he's probably wondering where I am. What's taking me so long?" I'm like, Granny, you have stuff here to do still. Don't say that yet. But like, there's something like I really felt my grandfather's presence today, and there was like a big tree in front, and myself and my husband have been going through a lot lately. Oh my gosh, body exposure and sexualized behaviors. Someone said I had sexualized behavior. Oh, come on now. Oh, Granny Kibana. Yeah, I know. Not at all. I know. But I told you, TikTok doesn't like me, so. You know what, you guys? I'm going to stop this live and I'm going to restart it. This is my first impression. Okay, so I'm gonna restart the live before I start the comic book because it probably deserves not the restriction. I'll make sure that I'm not too body exposed. TikTok. Holy cow, you're so lame. I'm not that like. Thanks, Bucci. At least the gifts still work. I'm shadow banned and not pushed out anymore. Aw, what did you do, Maury? Were you telling the truth? It doesn't like that very much. And if you guys have seen the movie The People versus Larry Flint, you know, where he shows, you know, a bunch of like boobs and like body on like up and then like compares that to like the images of like war and violence and like we're okay with the war and gore and violence, but like you show a little bit too much cleavage and oh my gosh, like everyone's having a conniption. So I don't know, I get it, like things should not be overly sexualized for kids, but just as someone who has gone through her own version of like child abuse and stuff, we do not do a great job of protecting kids as is, and we keep on giving more power to the people who are already the perpetrators to put more restrictions in place and say it's for the children when we all know the truth. So Archon vampires, you said it, Jai, you know. And to all you demon hunters out there, I see you. And you dream warriors, keep doing your thing. I know it's not an easy job. To quote, was it, Superman never made any money, saving the world from Solomon Grundy. I forget. Something. I forget. Crash test. Yeah. I'm back. Good. Okay. So let's see. We must have a tea. We must have many teas. Some of them might be magical. So back to Dawnstar, because I think this is relevant. I want to get into this story before I start the comic book read, so that I don't have the restriction on it anymore. But at the Little Sisters Cafe, I wanted to go to that. They let doggies there, right? They allow doggies, I think, at that one. I've been looking for doggy-friendly cafes to take my Wolfie with me. I'm actually also working on having my doggy, Wolfie, be designated my PTSD dog, just after all, like, what I've been going through in terms of, I've told you guys a certain story, but there might be legal ramifications about it, so I'm going to put that. You're a 1 minute walk. Let me know. Oh my gosh. I'll let you know when I'm there next. Maybe we can do like a live stream there and like you can show up live, Jai. Like, I love ish like that. Let's ride the synchronicity wave. So let's go back to Dawnstar. What am I saying? Okay, it's happening. It's true. It is happening. It's gonna happen. You know, the convergence. It's solstice right now, you guys. And I tell you, like, my grandfather was epic, is epic, you know, larger than life. And today, my dad and my husband and me, I don't know, we shared certain stories that I don't think we ever shared before because, you know, family secrets are a thing. Our own, you know, like we just know certain things about certain people in the family, and then everyone kind of like keeps that secret even though it hurts certain others, right? And today I think we did a lot to dissolve a lot of that, at least in my own personal world. I'm not going to get into too much detail because I don't want to derail the conversation, but it is related to what I want to talk to you about, who I'm cosplaying as tonight. In a good way, Maury, in a good way. Aw, my friend, the flowers, come and bite. Welcome back. So I'm playing as Dawnstar. I'm glad that I'm still getting the gifts even with the restrictions. Sometimes TikTok does this like, well, we're not going to give you gifts anymore, Rachel, because you're being sexual. And then we can't be seen having that be benefiting. So, oh, thank you, thank you. So I am currently in the Peg. Oh, also, if you're in Winnipeg, we're doing a live show on Friday. What? I know I've been terrible at promoting it. So on Friday at the Albert Arms Albert Arms. So the guy who owns that also owns the Pyramid Cabaret. And we had a meeting with him last week. And so we're basically doing a show, like a synthwave show on this Friday, the 26th, for 2 hours. I'm going to be live streaming it on TikTok. For most of it, we'll see. I will also be DJing. And if you're not familiar with what synthwave is, it's retro future kind of music. So I think of it as the sounds that I grew up listening to on the car radio, oldies back when I was like a teen, and then like remixed to sound modern. And then you keep a lot of the traditional instruments like saxophone, electric guitar, the synth, and the keyboard, and then you add electronic mixing to it. I love it. I love it as a genre. I think more people should be into it. But think like Lost Boys, Tron. I don't know. There's like a lot of stuff I need proof. No, but I will be DJing on Friday. That's gonna be my debut. My DJ name is DJ Supernova. I was like, yeah, that'll work. DJ Supernova or DJ Sugar Rachel. I might just like keep that. Or maybe I'll have multiple DJ names. All my friends are from Vancouver and make music. My little sister is in Vancouver. She is not. She says she's not. Camel Pipe. Thank you. That galaxy is so fitting for Dawnstar. Thank you. And the best DJs. Oh, yeah, you guys. God is a DJ. God is also a dancer. And music is a beautiful way to communicate all the ineffable things of life. You can see around my neck, I have a treble cleft and a moon, right? So the moon and music, this idea of how music speaks to your subconscious, right? How a song that is played at just the right time will speak to exactly what you're feeling at that moment. Whatever that is, thank goodness for it. Because I can't tell you the amount of times I've been in the car, let's say driving home from like a breakup, just like back in the day, we used to do things in person, not break up over text or by post-it notes, like in Sex and the City. But like, I remember like driving home, like, and even when you're the one breaking up with someone, that's not easy. Cause like, it's not, I'm just thinking back to it. And like, there's no easy way to tell someone who's still in love with you that you don't want to be with them anymore. It's like, that's why people cheat oftentimes, right? So like, okay, well, I don't want to do the breaking up thing, so maybe I'll just ruin the relationship so that they break up with me. But that's not good either, right? Goosebumps from the music. Yeah, I love the goosebumps. Like I have a tarot card reader, Richard Cardinal. He says like, oh, the flesh of the goose, or like when the hairs stand up on the back of your head, or like just the right lyric. So one of the movies that like, I love musicals, right? I love like yeah. So I don't know if you guys love musicals too. So like, people have love-hate relationship with musicals, but I love musicals, specifically in live theater, right? Cats, for example, the musical number, that movie, the nightmare fuel that it was, is not meant, like, it's not meant for that medium, right? Even like Rent, the musical, which I saw in New York, is much better like live action stage with like real vocalists than any movie, even though I love Rosario Dawson, right? And I'm sure everyone's very talented. Like Moulin Rouge, which was a film first, I love it as a film, but I'm sure if I were to see it in theater, I would love it in theater. Like Rock of Ages, awesome, like movie, right? Tom Cruise, I don't like Tom Cruise in that movie, actually. He's not that great. But Julianne Hough, I love her, actually. The remake of Footloose with her and that it's actually pretty good. I actually pretty like it. Um, quick question. All this time wondering is with your family. Not exactly. Kind of, not really. You know what? Good side tangent to today's story before I come back to Final Crisis, because I've been going through my own Final Crisis. But after Final Crisis comes that whole fun rebirth transformation situation. So let me see if I can tell this story concisely, because I always go off on tangents with you guys and talk about other random stuff. But okay. I was born and raised here in Winnipeg, right? In the prairies, and I was nerdy, straight A student, valedictorian, went to St. Mary's Academy, drama, dance, all this, all the really I did everything good, right? Because all that kind of stuff, right? Now, this is at the time I wrote my book, right? And my book, oh my gosh, I just dropped it. It's okay. Oh, thank you. So that was like my childhood and growing up. Now, in the midst of all of this, you guys, my mother is very psychologically, emotionally, and physically abusive. I don't know how else to kind of put it. I have spent a lot of my life covering for her in terms of certain behaviors, but only recently has it been come to a head where I've been able to openly talk about it with my dad and my husband, and to be this is what happened to me, kind of thing. Yeah. So where was I? Okay. So June Gemini. Any Geminis, I think, are a little magical. You have some hermetic nature to you. I have a Gemini moon. I can say that. I'm biased, I think, a little bit. And I do love my Geminis, even though they get a lot of hate for being two-faced. Everyone's a little two-faced. You're not going to be the same person at work than you are going to be with your close friends, or you're not going to be the same person at church as you are going to be when you go out to the strip club or whatever the heck you're doing. So you can have she did the bipolar shit today, only when she drinks. The drinking thing is a thing, you guys. Okay, let me circle back to that. I know I was talking about mead and stuff, but I've been working on a comic book called The Drug Deities, where each drug is an entity. So, for example, weed, Mary Jane, you have Mary Jane be a goddess. You have Lucy, LSD, be a goddess. You have cocaine be some crazy guy. Cocaine's not that bad, I don't think. But anyways, to each their own, right? And you'd have alcohol be many types of spirits, or Al Ghul, that kind of thing. So Molly, good golly, Miss Molly. I love Miss Molly. We had the best phone call, half hour today, same day she sends a hate text. Oh man, I think so too. The Maury Landry, in your case, are you dealing with bipolar, or are you dealing with maybe a combination of personality disorders? Not that I think classification really matters in the end of it. It's just more of yeah, I say the same. My mom's nuts too. Whoa, Black Betty. Oh my, whoa, Black Betty. Bam-a-lambo, Black Betty, bam-a-lam. Oh my gosh, I love that song. That's a good spin class song. When I used to teach spin class, that's a good climbing up the mountain song. And I've already gone off a tangent without telling you guys. You're so sweet. Thank you for the support. And Bucci, Bucci May, thank you for the cake slice. I love cake too. So, okay, straight A student, nerdy purse girl, all that kind of stuff. Also, on top of all of this, as I said, my mom was very abusive, and I think it's hard for me to talk about this because, let me tell you guys a story of what happened to me when I was in grade 2, and that kind of puts it, it summarizes it. And Maury Landry, I really empathize with you. I really, really do, because it's kind of crazy. Um, Dawnstar mentioned. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be playing as Dawnstar. Oh, don't let me forget to talk about her more. Right? I'm just going into my own side story and how I relate to Dawnstar. Dawnstar and Supergirl are also besties, so you know, my girl Kara, I got her back. Um, so my mom, when I was in grade 2, and it's hard when you have memories, right? Like when you have traumatic memories, there's actually scientific proof that when you go into a certain emotional state, your memories are just not there, right? So whether or not you're like in a rage or you're like disassociating because trauma is happening to you, it's hard to trust your memories, right? It's hard to trust my memories, period, half the time. I remember a lot of stuff wrong. And I'm okay with it. And sometimes I'm like, I like the way I remembered it better. I'm fine with it. But it's okay to be, it's good to be aware that your memory and your perspective is just that. You can have, you know, everybody in the movie theater watching the same movie. When we come out of it, and let's say we all have a conversation about it, we're going to have different takeaways. And I've definitely watched a movie where someone's like, oh, my favorite quote was this. And I'm like, what? When did that happen? And then I'll tell something like, I didn't even notice that. So that's the thing. Like, that doesn't make any of your favorite parts not real or not true or any not valid, right? It's just a matter of being aware that, do you know, I'm gonna uncensor your comment. I don't know why. Uh, oh my gosh, heard of Mad Honey? I missed that. I think we all just should strive to. Oh, why do I keep going to Winnipeg? Yeah, because I have a lot of unfinished business here. Let me tie that up first. So, a lot of people have, like, I was born and raised in Winnipeg, so I have a lot of connection to this place. Also, me and my best friends growing up, Laura, Jen, and Rachel, the four of us, we try to do magic and stuff together. We would do like go to the park together, hold hands, invoke the elements, try to levitate, do all that kind of stuff, right? We really believed that we were going to like be a band and we were going to be like the K-pop Demon Hunters before K-pop Demon Hunters was a thing. We thought literally that was possible. Then hormones hit, right? Then boys come into the picture. Then, you know, who's sleeping with who and who's like it becomes, but we do still believe it. Yeah. So, but we get sidetracked, you guys, right? Because of things like trauma. So, my mother, and this is why going to my grandfather's grave today was very powerful for me because I noted the date. When I was graduating grade 12 from St. Mary's Academy, my grandfather died of Alzheimer's, right? And I mean, we can call it Alzheimer's, but it was like a combination of like dementia and, you know, old age like disease. But he passed in 2003 on April 20th, which is 4 days before my birthday. 2003, I graduated from grade 12, and that was also the year that my mom revealed that she was basically cheating on my dad or having an affair with some like trash guy kind of thing. Now, for a long while, I knew that my mom was doing this like weird affair, like nefarious shit kind of thing, but I was relieved because she was distracted with this affair, she wasn't on my case all the time, right? My mom, from the time I was a little girl, would always call me stupid, call me fat, say that no one would ever love me. I have diary entries and diary entries about how, like, my mom said she hated me today. No one's ever going to love me because so the counter to that is, of course, that my dad was an awesome girl dad, but couldn't stand up to my mom. And this is the difficulty, right? Because there are awful, horrible, abusive fathers out there, right? My dad was not that. But in the divorce, what ended up happening with my mom and my dad, the way she painted the picture was that she was like a single mom taking care of her two daughters, when that, yeah, he was scared of her. We were all scared of her, Mari. Like, that house was like literally she like when she would go into a rage and it would just be random, it was like the rules would change constantly. One day, you know, you could wear red lipstick, let's say, and then the other day if you're wearing a red lipstick, you're a whore, right? So it's just it was like this like crazy thing. Yes, you know, you got it. She only hated me because she hated herself, because that's a thing about, you know, when people have a self-loathing, right? Especially when you have a child, there's no barrier between yourself and the child. So all this stuff, um, self-doubt and fear of abandonment, fear of all this kind of stuff ends up being like projected onto those weaker than you, and you end up trying to do that. Like, contradiction is a pet peeve. Yes, and also too, I was talking to a girlfriend of mine about this who escaped a narcissistic relationship, and to all of you guys who have been in any relationship, whether or not it's intimate partner or parental or any of that kind of stuff, trying to extract yourself out of some, like, out of narcissism or certain mental illnesses, especially when you're a very empathetic person, is very difficult. You know, people always are like, why don't you just leave? Like, it is really not that easy. And I also like can't stand how people so easily just make fun of mental illness. Like, we can all like point and laugh at like Britney Spears, like, and all this other stuff, but like, dude, like, if you were in that same position, do you think your mind, your psyche could handle that amount of stress? You know? So I've learned, I thank you guys. Good sex so hard to dip. So that happened in 2003. So like at this point, like, I graduated high school and things didn't get too bad just yet, right? Because my mom was in the middle of having this like affair, but of course everything comes out. Also too, when my grandfather, this whole time when my grandfather's having dementia and he eventually passes away, my dad obviously is trying to support my granny and the family's grieving and all that kind of stuff. But anyone who is has dealt with anyone narcissistic or anyone with borderline personality disorder knows that they cannot stand it when they don't have attention on them. They cannot handle it when, like, instead of paying attention to you, you're grieving, right? So, yeah, not, and you can do it properly. Practice and, oh, you guys are, you're very sweet, you guys. That's why I had to go live tonight, even though like a lot of stuff happened today already that was like emotionally taxing, but this is also like my therapy with you guys. So thanks for being and listening, you guys. You are come of like, oh my gosh, I need to give you like an actual like special gift of like from the Cosmic Comic Book Club for helping power it all up. Oh, thank you. So, well, I can put up with it all, but Maury, you know, but should you have to? You know, like, why do we always have to like carry all like crap up the mountain? You know, and then other people don't want to like pull their weight, right? It's not fair. The universe has bigger fish for you to fry, and if you're busy doing side quests of like helping incompetent people constantly who don't want to help themselves, are you ever going to be able to do and move the rock that the universe needs you to move, that only you can move? But no, you're busy over here because you care. You know? So I'm not as sure, but yeah, but we want to help, right? And that's where the bad guys take advantage of us, right? And that's where this is tricky. So my mom, she used to say to me, I didn't even tell you guys to finish the story of what happened to me in grade 2. So in grade 2, two things happened. One, in Winnipeg, and I don't know if you guys remember this. I've tried to do research on this, but there was a meningitis outbreak, I think in grade 2. And for me, in terms of dates, that would have been around 1992. And I don't know if you guys, if you were in Winnipeg in 1992 or 1993, get at me so I can cross-reference this, because apparently there's a meningitis outbreak, because I remember us lining up in the hallway at school and getting a meningitis shot in our arm, right, to prevent meningitis. And meningitis, if you're not familiar, is a neurological, I think, like inflammation disease, that kind of stuff. So can I be okay with myself yet? I'm getting there, Dino. I'm getting there. You know what helps? The cosplay. The cosplay actually helps me be more of myself, which is interesting, right? Because the cosplay acts as like an armor for your true self to shine. The giant circle on the arm. And when I was a baby, I had an illness that only goes through babies in and out of hospital. Do you remember what that was called, Gwen Stacy? I'm so interested in that. Was that the shot? So it was a I think it was a vaccine for meningitis. I have to look back at it. So I just remember that. I was trying to ask my friends from that grade, like, do you guys remember that in grade 2? So that was one thing. It's all the way to get jazz. But this was meningitis specifically, right? So, and this was in 1992. Who knows? But I recommend you guys also, like, in your own like memories, like sorting through like, that happened and then this happened, or like chronological order of this and that. Not to say, correlation does not equal causation, but it's interesting to kind of plot your own constellation points, right? So I don't know if that happened to any of you guys. Like my sister, her whole basketball team ended up with like mono or something, and I don't know if they had to do anything for that. The kissing disease, mono, right? Um, so that was one thing that happened in grade 2, and then I got really sick um, that winter. So sick, you guys, that they thought I may have gotten meningitis. And you know what I ended up having to do? Spinal tap. And if there's anything that I remember very vividly in terms of how much pain like any procedure was, anything from tattooing to like piercings to like having sex for the first time, nothing beats spinal tap in terms of how much that hurt. And for all I know, they extracted my cerebral spinal fluid from me and harvested it and then used it to make X-Men. I don't know. But it was painful. It was awful. So I just remember that, like that happened in grade 2, that time frame. What also happened was my mom used to go through these like rages randomly where if you, let's say, put like a can here and it wasn't in this spot, she'd get mad. You'd be like, I meant for that to be in this spot. But like she never literally didn't, like, as I said, like random rules to living in her house, and she would change them all the time and then just make an excuse so that she could get angry at you. So it's actually called borderline rage if you look at books with this kind of personality disorder. So the rage happens. At this point, she hit me across the face with an object, and I can't remember what the object was, but regardless, I ended up with this big mark on my face. And then I go to school the next day, and I, of course, have a mark on my face. And so people are like, what happened? And I'm like, of course, I lie. Say I fell, I'm clumsy, nah. I go home, and this is how messed up my mom is. She goes to me, Rachel, what'd you tell everyone at school today about the mark on your face? And little Rachel at this point doesn't know what to do. And I can remember my thought process in this moment, like it was yesterday. One part is like, oh, are they going to know that I should tell the truth, right? I shouldn't lie, right? But I did lie to my teacher, right? And then part of me was just like, I don't know what to say in order for me not to get punished. So it's just all this, I'm like, I don't know how to answer this question. So I go, I told the teacher that you hit me because I was a bad girl and I deserved it and that kind of thing. So she looks at me and she goes, Rachel, do you know that if you tell anyone about how I punish you, that they'll send the cops here and they'll take me away and this family will be ruined and you will be the reason why this family is destroyed if you tell anyone about it. So I go, oh, I'm like, well, I didn't tell. I said, I just made up an excuse that I fell. She was like, good. So I was just like, what? That kind of story. Yeah, exactly. And so you as a child, right? There's no one to ever check when adults do messed up ish, right? There's no one to check when like you have a crappy teacher who shames kids in front of the class, which you should never do, or like parents who like think they get to make up their own random rules and enforce them and hurt children, right? what can we possibly do? Who's going to believe a kid? There's so many movies about that where like the kids literally like, there's a freaking monster. There's a da 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 da, and no one listens. And then they're like, ah, help us. They're like, you know what? I can't anymore. I'm over here now. So that's basically it. Hey, Spider Carnage. So that was like my grade 2 story. And the reason why I bring this up is because that's just to like illustrate the relationship I've had with my mom since I was very young. Now, growing up, um, my mom never really wanted to let go of me, right? I always felt like I was like her doll that she used to kind of like parade around and be like, look at how wonderful and beautiful my daughter is, and that kind of thing. Yeah. Let's see here. Read that to you. Let's see. On me. One thing my mother, she's not dumb. She can tell when someone's birth. Moms, when are good moms, can really like. My best friends growing up, their moms, bless them, because thank goodness for that. They're always very sweet for me. Some stairs you can grow up to, not all about comics. True that. I suppose so. I can't talk to all my aunts on that side. I had nights listening. Aw, thank you, Dino. It's all fake bullshit. I hope they make clones. uh, oh my gosh. Can you rewrite it, Maury? I'm gonna get into the comic book reading. F the restriction. I think the camel bite your gifts have gone through and it seems to be okay. So let's keep the restriction. I did 3 times. Oh my gosh. Which part though? On me. Yes, same story. The fact that you had a similar kind of story of the gaslighting and thing, where like you basically, I think I had a psychologist that I saw talking about this in a certain level of like certain parents do like enmeshment with their kids, where they like get so involved in their kids' lives so that there's like no separation and there's no opportunity for the child to actually like create their own identity. I did. I would say so, but that actually brings me down to recently to finally answer your question, Maury, is like, why am I back in Winnipeg again then, right? So when this all happened with my mom, all of this happened in Winnipeg, I was mortified because Winnipeg's not exactly the biggest place. And my dad was a prof here. And so like people knew my family and knew me and stuff, right? And so I was like, this is embarrassing, my mom doing this. And so I just like left. I took 2 suitcases. I booked a one-way ticket to Toronto, and I took broadcast journalism because I wanted to be like Lois Lane or April O'Neil, and I just left, right? And I just stayed. So, and I fell in love with Toronto, you guys. Like I really grieve the Toronto that I went to when I was about 2007, 2008, because the city lights, I got a job bartending. I was like a go-go dancer, all that kind of stuff. So I built a whole life. I dyed my hair platinum blonde to Toronto, right? Yeah. Oh, it's me. So that was like a whole part of it. And I did corporate, became a project manager, did the whole thing, had a condo downtown, all that kind of stuff. But then, and I'm going to be honest here with you guys about something that I haven't really talked about. Me and my husband I suffered a miscarriage. Like I lost a baby. And I wasn't prepared for how I would feel after losing her. And when that happened, I tried to heal my relationship with my mom. Like I tried to be open. I tried to get from her some sort of like comfort, right? But it was nowhere to be found. And in fact, she actually did, I'm not going to get into it, but she did some actually really messed up stuff to me knowing about it. So finally, after all this time, I make a decision to estrange myself from my mother after. Like I'm finally not in contact with her. I'm just like, I can't, because as much as I know that she's a liar, all this kind of stuff, like, I don't know, I'm sure you guys have certain people in your lives like this too, where you just need to have no contact and just some distance, because if you get let into their world again, you'll just fall for their lies again and get trapped into their like whole like fiasco thing, right? Finnery. So, um, why am I back in Winnipeg? Well, myself and my hubby, I've been working on creating my own production house, making my own movie, working my own comic book, finally being creative and working for myself versus like working for yet another company, right? So doing the project manager stuff, but doing it for me and hopefully other creators as well. So other people who do podcasts or other people who do like Astro or cosplay. I want to help with doing things like going live, multi-streaming, really making an income so that you can actually just be creative and not have to like sell your soul or like give up creative control or like that kind of thing, that we can really just have like us as artists come together again like we used to do way back in the ancient world, right? Now, bringing this back to Dawnstar and the big native community that's actually here in Winnipeg. People oftentimes think that I'm Métis, they think that I'm Aboriginal, all that kind of stuff. And I'm not. However, I was born here. Like, I am born right here in the prairies. Like, this is like my hometown. This is like where I was born and raised. And so even when I went out to Toronto, and my hubby's noticed this, bringing him back here to Winnipeg to see for a while, because I don't plan on living in Winnipeg full time. However, I do love it here in the summers, right? There's something really special about the people here and like the warmth of prairie people. And just like, we went down here to go get fresh sliced pizza, and the guy there was just like, oh, just eat your pizza and pay me the cash later because like my hands are dirty. And like, it's just these like, oh, you don't think we're just gonna run away with the pizza kind of thing? You know, it's just such a different different experience. And like, my hubby's like, people here are just so nice. Like, I don't get it, because Toronto is just, it's just not. And I know it's Winnipeg, right? And we just take it for granted, just like, oh yeah, like that's just Winnipeg people. And so when I went out to Toronto for the first time, I kind of got rocked at first. I got like scammed. I was mugged. I like this other like, you know, I was so sheltered. I was not prepared for the big city lessons, but I did learn. I got good, right? So BC is worse. Is it? My little sister lives in Vancouver and she loves it. She lived in Toronto for a bit. She swears she's never going to come back to Winnipeg again. She calls it crabs in a bucket. Toronto's very metal and dense, big city. But you know, I went to Toronto to lose myself. And you can never find yourself if you don't lose yourself first, right? Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, so Okanagan. Okanagan's pretty though, isn't it, Marie? I will say though this, we shouldn't also be constrained by like the fact that like you're born in Winnipeg, right? Or you're born wherever. There's also like the story of your life, or where you end up, or where you end up making friends, where you find your partner, where you choose to start and raise your family. And so me coming back to Winnipeg was really to tie up a lot of loose ends. But I know, what the F, bro? Do I munch carpets? Like, I haven't heard that in a long time. Like, what are we in, like grade 8? But maybe we are. Maybe we all just haven't left grade 8. I'm okay with it. I'm fine with, like, I had a lot of guy friends growing up who used to roast me all the time. I am fine with it. But perfect strangers trying to make certain comments, we're not friends like that. You can leave, right? Oh, thank you. I've got each of my tattoos, they do mean something a lot to me as well. So like, tattoos are one of those things, like the pain pleasure situation, about how like, oh, it's painful, but it feels so good kind of thing. Okay. I don't think I'm going to get to read tonight, you guys. Let's try. Let's just begin the read and we'll see how far it ends up going. In terms of relating this to Dawnstar, Dawnstar is a character. If you guys have watched the animated Crisis on Infinite Earths, there is a scene, right? So the way they do Crisis on Infinite Earths, the animated version, they actually give Kara or Supergirl some of the attributes that Harbinger slash Lila has, which is that like they make the monitors be like a father figure to Kara and that whole situation. Besides the fact though, in it they show how Supergirl basically goes to the world of the Legion of Superheroes where like Brainiac 5 is, Dawnstar is, and the Legion lives is, but in the animated version they have a scene where the anti-monitor wipes that world out of existence. Now, when we say out of existence, it means like as if it never happened, right? Um, and so Takara, in this version, her bestie, Dawnstar, and Brainiac, and all that, they basically get blipped out of existence and they only now exist in Kara's memories. And so, what an interesting thing to have people say, like, well, that just never existed, right? But this is just in this version, right? And that's why it's Crisis. Um, However, right, because this is a multiverse, because there's different versions, there are, past, present, future. You, that version, right, of Dawnstar, um, yes, of course, she's out of existence, but what does that mean, right? That Mandela, yeah, yes, yes. It's like it never happened. Actually, like anytime we have to deal with like time travel or like let's say you're trying to go like the Terminator, like trying to go back in time to like kill Sarah Connor so that John Connor can never be born, but in doing that you actually cause the creation of John Connor because Kyle Reese is from the future and you never would have followed to stop the Terminator had he so or like the grandfather paradox. If you go back in time and kill your grandfather, then you would never have been born in order to what? So um, time doesn't work necessarily in a linear way. It's just our perception of it. But that doesn't make it any easier to understand, obviously. It's like also in Inception. Not Inception. Oh my gosh, what's the other space movie by Nolan? I really wish Nolan for the Odyssey, instead of doing a straight remake of the Greek stuff, he should have made it like a space interpretation. Time is totally going faster. The Spiral, if you guys are familiar with Terrence McKenna, the Time Wave Zero, I Ching, yeah, we're in that like Titan spiral thing. If you guys have read Promethea by Alan Moore, in book 5, when they talk about the end of the world, they talk about how it feels like 2 weeks ago feels like yesterday, and like a month coming feels like tomorrow, right? So it's not that time is speeding up, but it's also our relationship to time and space. Because if we think about driving, let's say between Winnipeg and Toronto, it's about a 2-day drive. But if I were to fly, that's like 2 hours, right? So the difference between me driving back and forth and flying and the space between the two, the relationship between all that is going to change. Like especially if you think about flight. If each of us on a personal level were to just fly, right? We have that vertical now. It changes our perspective, right? Because no longer is like back in the day when you like Oregon Trail, you have to take a horse to like ride across the prairies and stuff, right? So time is going to have it's like, oh, you're a 4-day horse ride away, right? So your perspective and how we speak about time and space changes, right? Like when we say like up there, like heaven's not up, right? We just use that as a way of like calling out directions and navigation, just so it's relative to like me, like in the mall, right? Like you are here, and then now I know like Walmart's over here and this is here, but if I was over here, those directions don't make sense. So that's kind of what Dawnstar's whole role is. She ends up being like a cosmic navigator for the Legion of Superheroes, and navigation is key. Like flying is one thing, power is one thing, but there's many stories where like when you're new to your powers and flying, especially, that you can just get lost somewhere, right? And then how are you ever supposed to find your way home? Interstellar. Thank you, Padra. Thank that. So thank you for bringing me back to that, because in Interstellar, right, where gravity has a very direct relationship to perspective of time, and you're like Matthew McConaughey. By the time he gets back to his daughter, she's like an old lady, right? So this concept of perhaps you are actually the parent to your parents, and our ancestors are waiting for us to dream them into existence. Or what? Anyways, I don't know. South is not down, right? It's not, but it is. Like if I'm gonna talk to you and make a mind map, how am I gonna talk about ineffable things except to just kind of like, it's kind of like this, but not exactly. But like if you think of it like this, but kind of like this, and put that together, then it's kind of like what I'm saying, right? But that's why you just get stoned together and have conversations about reality, and then you figure out the way. Like that's what ancient Atlanteans used to do. We used to get together in Alexandria. You come from like South Africa, and you come from Bali, and you come from like the Antarctic, and we all come together and we talk about stuff. We figure out problems, and we're like, all right, let's come to an agreement. We'll go back, see how it goes, and come back and see if it worked. Like it doesn't have to be war. It doesn't have to be like, well, it has to be my way. Like there is a better way of us just doing this. Anime raised. Oh, I know you're a star seed. There's many star seeds out here. So let's get into the read. I went off on a tangent, but I do love. So this is book 5 of 5, Legion of Three Worlds, Final Crisis. The writer of this is Jeff Johns. Jeff Johns is one of my favorite comic book authors. I know I say that about a lot of comic book authors, but top 5. So if you guys have favorite comic book authors, please do drop them. I will look into them. I do love Alan Moore, Grant Morrison, Jeff Johns, Frank Miller, Sin City, of course, right? And oh my gosh, his name's escaping me right now. But there's I love the ones who do like the big anthology crossover stuff too, right? Oh yes, did I answer all my questions? Yeah, so yes, all is well in the peg, but what I had to come back to do here, it was also under duress though, Maury, and that's the big thing as well, right? So after the miscarriage in Toronto and me going through a reframe of everything and being like, okay, I'm gonna really make a go at writing a book and like trying to do the creative thing, right? Trying to be like, I'm gonna be an artist. Right? And then so I started doing like the live streams with you guys, started to like get more comfortable with like acting again and like being less like corporate robot Rachel, right? Somewhat recently, Maury, somewhat recently. Oh gosh, time is speeding up. So it's like, it feels like, doesn't 2020 feel like it was like 2 years ago, but really it was like 6 years ago now? It's kind of crazy. So this happened like 2023 or so. So, but what has happened most recently is I noticed things that my mom was doing to me in terms of what my husband's father was doing to him. And when you are so close to trauma and abuse, sometimes you can't see it because people put on this front and this mask. But then I finally saw it, right? And then he turned on me. Like this like grown man basically tried to attack me kind of thing. And my hubby defended me, and this whole thing. And I made really charges, may not, I just don't. But we had to basically flee Toronto because we had been staying at my hubby's dad's place just to like, it's like an interim point to figure out like, do I want to live in Winnipeg? Do I want to live in Toronto? Like what? So we basically ran Winnipeg, and we say like, my dad has a house here, right? So I'm at my dad's house, right? And there's a lot of space, and I just like set up a little shop and like here in like the basement and stuff to make a little studio, and like been doing my other things, but a whole bunch of our stuff is still in Toronto, which we need to get. And now all I've been trying to work on lately is have a home base in Toronto and have a home base in Winnipeg, and then get a vehicle in terms of like being able to have like a traveling road show when we can, right? And bring the DJ, dance, emceeing, all that stuff on the road, connect with other DJs, creators, musical theater people, and really like bring all of that to like live streaming, right? Like if there's live shows and we want to have like a live streaming aspect to it, why not, right? Um, and in a way that's not necessarily um, incumbent is that the right word? Held back by just like the platform, right? That is a hard sell to my parents now, isn't it? Isn't it, right? Here's the thing though, I did everything that they wanted. And I mean, my mom's out of the picture now too. And that is the big thing today that we finally healed, I think, right? Because education has always been the biggest thing from my dad's side. Like, you could do whatever you wanted, but as long as you got your education, right? So I did better than that. I did like straight A's, that kind of stuff. But even in school, I didn't necessarily choose courses that were like business or like finance or anything kind of like that. I took English literature and psychology. But in the end, like, I learned a lot about human nature. And I now realize like there's a way of putting together all the things that I know to have it be fruitful in a business perspective. I've just been so programmed and traumatized into being called stupid and all this kind of stuff that it's hard to, do something that is hard to do. And when you have a lot of obstacles to push through and like really believe in yourself, and like other people, let's say like my friends, who like if they wanted to be an actress or be a dancer, their friends and like they support them, right? And like put them in acting classes, all that kind of stuff. Like for me, I wasn't allowed to have the same dreams as my friends, right? Because, it wasn't fit. But now I've done all that. I worked corporate, got all the awards, got my education, got my degrees, did all the stuff. So now I'm going to do me. So to all of you guys chasing your dreams, and even though you don't feel like you have the support of those who should, I hope you find the support that you need in other ways. I hope the universe supports whatever your crazy ideas are, because if you have them and you know that it's difficult to do, it's probably because you're meant to do it. It's kind of a crazy thing. So let's read a little bit of this, you guys, and then I'll say good night. Dawnstar is your, if you guys aren't familiar with Dawnstar, she's from the Legion of Superheroes. She has a really cool relationship with a character called Wildfire. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but I'll go into Wildfire in like 2 seconds because I love that character. Wildfire is a character from the Legion of Superheroes who, I think he's like a scientist, super smart guy, but just like Dr. Manhattan, ends up in some sort of like experiment or explosion where his whole body basically becomes disintegrated. And so he becomes like pure energy. So I forget what happens, but a suit's created, like a Master Chief, like, mech suit, which I love. And his energy is able to be put into the suit. So he doesn't have like a physical body, but he's able to like, interact because he's a suit. Now, Dawnfire, who he calls Donnie, and Dawnstar and Wildfire are a, not necessarily a couple, but they have romantic feelings for each other. But it's revealed that Dawnstar never feels like she can actually like, well, because Wildfire doesn't have a body, right? So you're literally like, you're pure energy being held in a metal suit, right? So there is something about that, right? And I feel for that, right, too, where like she's not in love with like the body, she's in love with like your energy, literally, right? So Wildfire and Dawnstar, love it. A fated situationship, right? But I love them. They're in this. So maybe we'll get to that point. Okay, let's go, guys. I know I've looked at a whole hour of like going off it. And thank you, Gwen Stacy, for sharing and all your support, you guys. Lots of love. Okay, so we're at the end of time. Speaking of time, speaking up, we're now at the end of it. So The end of time. This whole mess started when some stupid scientist and his wife saved their son from destruction by sending him to Earth. Who do you think that was? Mr. Kal-El, right? 1,000 years later, more stupid aliens from across the universe turned wait, turned his path to Earth into a pilgrimage. They call themselves Legionnaires. There are so many of these guys, I can't keep track of them all. The only good thing about their numbers is that there are a lot to kill. Heck, I need something to do to pass the time. That's all I have now, thanks to the Legion. Dun dun dun. This is like evil Superboy, just so you guys know. Superman has been influencing history for centuries. Oh no, the guy talking right now is the Time Trapper, I believe. If you guys aren't familiar with the Time Trapper, speaking of time, you guys, like Time Lords, and people like to F with time. Time Trapper has a vendetta against Superman, so he's trying to erase Superman's impact on all timelines, right? So he continues onward with his internal bad guy monologue. Superman has been influencing history for centuries, and no matter how many times I tried to erase him, I failed. Yeah, because you're a bad guy. I needed assistance. I'm surprised, you're surprised, but you can blame this on yourself. After years of being shunted into the multiverse, of being tossed through time, you transformed Superboy Prime into an anomaly that cannot be erased. I love like time travel. I call them the narrator who do the voice talk. I love that. Our humble narrator, right? In this case, though, like in comic books, right? If you read them, oftentimes the title card, like if you have like the boxes like that, it's an internal monologue where you're like, I'm in your head, right? Or sometimes, if you read a book, it's this concept too of like, do you trust the narrator, right? Because the narrator, it's going to be from their perspective that they're telling that story. Okay, I'm surprised. You're surprised, but you can blame this on yourself. After years of being shunted into the multiverse, of being tossed through time, you transformed Superboy Prime into an anomaly that cannot be erased, into the Time Trapper. I'm not only the sole survivor of Earth Prime. Now, Superman, I am the sole survivor of creation. Well, that's pretty. All right, you gotta up the ante, I suppose, in stakes. And although you might see a glimmer of hope, I already know this battle's outcome. It's the ancient past to me. There was no one I could trust to help me. No one but myself. Today, it's no big deal. I'm going to kill Superboy all over again. And then I keep on calling it the 30th century, but apparently it's the 31st century that the Legion are in. Someone fact check me if possible, because I just know it's the future superheroes where they look at Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman as almost like myths of that time, right? So back in the 31st century, or it's funny saying that, back to the future, really? A chunk of ice is your big death blow? No, I was going to do something way cooler next. I don't know how or why I'm here, but I do remember dying in Wonder Girl's arms. The girl I love had to watch. Cassie had to watch me die. If you hurt her, I didn't. Well, maybe I will. I'll fly into time and punch her in the face. It'll be an improvement. Because she's so ugly, a punch would make her prettier. You probably didn't get it, you loser. These are teenagers hurling insults at each other, as you can see. I'll punch her in the face because that'll make her look better, right? Okay, bully. You have the right to remain silent, Prime, and if you don't invoke that right, I'll help you keep your mouth shut. It's the Green Lantern Corps, you guys, because the Green Lanterns exist in every universe. I love it. Look at them. Great. I love it. Look, George Perez. Mwah, great job illustration here. I love it. It's the Green Lantern Corps. You could say that, Andromeda. I have one thing to thank you for, Prime. You have made me realize that the universe still needs a Green Lantern Corps. Even if I am unworthy to be their guardian, I cannot allow the green light to go out while monsters like you exist. You and me, my cousin, and a bajillion legionnaires. How sweet is this, Connor? Very. So what do you say, Bart? I am dying to. Titans, together now. Love it. I'm not sure what history you lived through, Trapper, but it doesn't look like you're winning anything back there. Oh, thank you, Dominique. Right back at you. I'm playing as Dawnstar. I know I don't have my wings, but all of your guys' support and love and likes means that I can come back and I'll be even more like Miss Donnie. So, welcome to reading Legion of Three Worlds, Final Crisis, written by Jeff Johns and illustrated by George Perez, who actually also illustrated Crisis on Infinite Earths back in 1985. So, kind of fun, right? I love the whole timing, divine timing aspect of it all, right? So welcome to the live. Okay, I'm not sure what history you lived through, Trapper, but it doesn't look like you're winning anything back there. You know, like bad guys always announcing themselves, all that kind of thing, you know? And it's perfect for solstice, Maury, right? Like the summer solstice, the yellow, the solar plexus. If this is a chakra system, right, yellow is actually will, right? Which is interesting, right? Because the Green Lantern Corps, like willpower is their jam, but they use green. Green is your heart chakra, so still a very powerful energy center. Okay, so I want you guys to take a good look at the illustrations because they're pretty sweet. I love them, and the colors, the artwork, and it matches my dress. You know, I like the hot pink with the yellow. You know. Okay. Oh, you just wait. Ugh. And don't be so smug. You see all these tears in the fat. Oh, not tears. See, that's the thing when you read things for the first time. It's not tears, it's tears. Something tears in the fabric of reality as opposed to tears or like tears for fears, right? Okay. You see all of these tears in the fabric of reality around us? I can access every parallel universe, every legion that's ever existed. Once I kill you, I'll tear the rest of them apart, piece by piece. You heard him, Imra. Imra is a Saturn girl. Love Saturn girl, by the way. You heard him, Imra. This place is a nexus to time and space of some kind. So that means, oh, Jai, you have a great night too. Maybe we can meet in person very soon. And remember, you guys, I'm doing an event here in Winnipeg at the Albert, 48 Albert, Albert Arms. It's going to be our first Synthwave live event. I will be DJing. Very small set. It'll only be like 30-minute, 40-minute set. I'm seeing most of it, and I do have some dance performances set in my world of the Dragon Warriors, where we use dance to invoke dragons, right? So the rhythm. So you have like shuffle dance, where it's like root chakra. You have like a samba, which is a lot more like sensual and like sacral. And then you have, let's say like hip hop or some like girly jazz or performance musical theater, which is like more solar plexus. So all these different dance styles, especially like how they can come together in a different kind of way depending on the music, is a way of like us invoking and energizing, transforming, and doing the damn thing, right? Like how the superheroes do it. Pinkalicious. I didn't even know about Pinkalicious, and I love that word, Gwen Stacy. So thank you for introducing it to me. And Patra, thanks for joining the fan club. Welcome. Okay, so you can see her here. Imra's also in Doomsday Clock. Jeff Johns has talked about how Saturn Girl is one of his favorite characters, and I agree with him. The reason why he says he loves her is because she's able to see everyone's mind, see into everyone's mind, and knows everyone's deepest, darkest secrets. And even though she does know all this, she still believes in the good in everyone, right? Knowing everyone's deepest, darkest secrets. So there's something to be said. Okay. You heard him, Imra. This place is a nexus to time and space of some kind. So that means you can contact the others. I've got them, Rock. Brainy? Brainy. So Brainiac 5, the one good Brainiac, right? Who's in a relationship with Supergirl in some universes. Brainy. Brainy, can you hear me? Saturn Girl? Where are you? And Brainiac 5 in this one has like, flowing locks and stuff. So, that kind of thing. Brainy, can you hear me? Saturn Girl, where are you? Fighting against the Time Trapper. At Vanishing Point? Brainy, listen to me. The Time Trapper, he's an older Superboy Prime. Years older. But it's him. What? So the Time Trapper is actually Superboy Prime, but really old and in the future. How crazy is that? He's an older Superboy Prime, years older, but it's him. And Oliver, hi, my friend. Thank you for liking the live. And who doesn't love dragons, right? Good dragons, though, all the different dragons have their own, just like people. Good dragons, bad dragons, dragons that flip sides, dragons that are like more social, dragons that aren't, Same thing. Same. What impossible? Nothing is impossible. Okay, improbable then. He says he's already lived through this war, Brainy. He says that we lose this war. Uh-oh. Well, he could just be saying that to F with you guys, right? But I guess he's the Time Trapper, so maybe he knows-ish. You're not Superboy. You're just super annoying. Fire and ice. Breck, let's steam this punk. Who brought him back? Who found the clone? You're the tracker. You helped lead everyone to me, didn't you? Get ready to be a real angel. Stay away from my girl. Right? Their booty flying off with that. Away. Yeah, you stay away from her. Get away from... Is that me? Oh, it is me. It's Dawnstar. Yay. So, coming after me. I'm offended. Don't be offended. You never met one? There are many dragons that don't like being in dragon form a lot. So in Dungeons and Dragons, there's a whole class or group of dragons known as the Song Dragons. And the Song Dragons actually prefer to be in human or elf form more than, dragon form. But you can tell they're a dragon because they're able to eat copious amounts of food and never gain weight. Okay, so Dawnstar's flying back, and she's the tracker. Remember I said about like Dawnstar being like master cosmic navigator? That's through time and space. So she was actually the one who located the evil Superboy Prime situation, and he's all getting angry. He's like, "Get ready to be a real angel." Remember Wildfire, who I said was like the energy that was disintegrated. He got put into a suit. That's him. And Dawnstar is his girl, and you don't get to touch my girl, right? Stay away from my girl. Out of my way, wild fart. Oh my gosh, what's up with these insults, Superboy Prime? And so he punches him, and there's a big shoof. Oh, Drake. And so Wildfire's real name is Drake, and she sees this big explosion. Dawnfire is very concerned. Who's winning now? And then Metropolis. Krezat. My sweet kinetics. I hadn't realized your soul was the only mystical conduit left from your universe. A terror form linked to the worlds. Oh, I love the Bernstein Bears books. Gwen Stacy. Bernstein Bears are also a big part of like Mandela effect, apparently. Like, is it the Bernstein Bears or the Bernstein Bear? I don't know if I'm doing that right, but there's something there. And I used to love the Bernstein Bears. Their books were bomb. Okay. My sweet kinetics. I hadn't realized your soul was the only mystical conduit left from your universe, a terraform linked to the worlds. And once the worlds died, the remaining magics took shelter in you. And now, me. The air just got hot. What is it, Mista? Oh, I thought it was Harley Quinn at first. I was going to add the Mista to it, but it's not. Mordru's gained the magic of all universes. I hear the souls of the mages he now possesses cry out from their prison within him. Mordu will rule you all. Classic thing for bad wizard guys to say. Mordu's draining us of our power, and he's reviving the legion of supervillains with it. Since when does a shrinking violet grow? A sacrifice. A sacrifice must be made, and the sacrifice must be mine. I'd suggest caution when approaching the detonation zone. Anti-energy has been known to have lingering effects to those exposed to high levels. Can you see through the smoke? Did Superboy Prime survive? Did anyone? Wildfire? Drake! And you can see Dawnfire is like flying down to get her man who's on, oh my gosh, he's down. That booty shot too. Oh no. No, no, no. His containment suit isn't exactly like mine, but I managed to cauterize it. Drake? Drake. She's holding him. Drake, you were right, Drake. I don't want to walk the path alone. Not without you. Oh, Donnie. Don't get all misty on me. It was just a little leak. But for the record, I love you too. Do you want to know what your future is, Superman? Do you want to know how Lois Lane dies? Or what Lex Luthor does to your mother when he finds out Clark Kent is Superman? Sexually suggestive content. Oh my gosh, you guys. They gave me another restriction for showing Dawnstar's booty. It's going to be, I'm going to have to wrap soon. Do you want to know what your future is, Superman? Or what Superboy's last words are when he falls today? I'm going to do it, clone boy. I'm going to go back in time and I'm going to break your precious Wonder Girl, just like I broke you. And he responds with punching him in the face, as one does. I want to rip that smirk off your face, but you're not worth it. You're not worth hating. Hell, I feel sorry for you. So I'm going to end this read right here. I got another restriction, so I'm going to just cut it now, leave it for now, and I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to be back early tomorrow, actually, because it's Monday tomorrow. And I'm going to do a first go of the fact that I want to start a radio station. One thing I tell you that cute. Ah. So tomorrow I'm going to be doing Renegade Radio. I'm going to hopefully bring some of the DJ stuff upstairs to where the record player is. And we're going to talk a little bit about like top songs from the 80s that we love, the saxophone, stories and dreams of the 80s, and what that means in terms of like futuristic sound and that kind of stuff. Gwen Stacy, in elementary school, we used to get to decorate the classroom wearing different Dr. Seuss boots. That's cool. Yes, and it is solstice today, hence my solstice outfit. So I'm going to say goodnight to you guys. I played as Dawnstar today from the DC universe, one of my favorite and maybe more lesser known comic book heroes, right? If you want to put it that way. So I took to wearing, this is actually my little sister's dress. It doesn't fit me properly, but I made it work for this, you know. So thank you guys for joining for this. I'll be back very soon. Happy solstice, you guys. Happy longest day of the year. Happy rebirth of the sun. Happy rebirth of who you truly are inside. And so with that, I'll leave you with my message to you guys, to my Cosmic Comic Book Club, that it takes true courage for you to be exactly you in this cosmic game of life. So have that courage. Please do keep playing as exactly you, because guess what? The universe is counting on you. But no worries, my friends. I have your back. Dawnstar has your back. And all of us in the universe, none of us are out here on our own, right? So keep doing your thing, you guys. Thank you for that gift, Phoenix Rising. What a nice, that's a good way to kind of end it, like rising from the ashes. So whatever you're going through, whatever that is, I hope you find your way on the other side, right? Oh yeah, Ghostbusters is another cosplay that I owe you, Gwen Stacy. We will do that, no worries. So to all of you guys living out your stories, keep doing your thing, and I'll catch all of you tomorrow. Sweet dreams. Bye.